Well, hello, everyone, and welcome to the Scene Live. If you've built years of expertise and gone out on your own, but you still feel like the best kept secret in the industry, you're in the right place. Every week, I sit down with somebody who's made that leap, and we get into what it really takes to be seen. Today, we're going straight to the AI question. Clients are asking ChatGPT to who they should be hiring. AI is rewriting how people search and how they buy. So, does your website still matter? Can AI actually help you turn it into something that makes money? And how do you use AI to build your site and your brand without disappearing into the same generic noise as everyone else? My guest has spent 25 years helping small businesses get this right, and we're covering all of it. It's live, so drop your questions in the chat. My guest today is Gill Wilson, and Gill is a digital specialist and the CEO of Buttered Host Digital Agency. And for over 25 years, she's been building websites and digital strategies for small and medium-sized businesses. She's a technologist and a qualified business coach, and she's passionate about helping business owners use technology to make their businesses thrive. Her aim is to leave her clients with peace of mind that their digital sales tools are secure and ready for the next wave of technology. And when she's not doing that, she's paddleboarding, she's snowboarding, or playing with technology. And her new puppy, which I'm so excited about. So let's welcome Gill to the stage. Gill, welcome.
Hello. Welcome. Lovely to see you. Lovely to be here.
Lovely to have you, and I am excited to have this conversation. First, let me ask you, how is your puppy doing?
Oh, he's doing great. He's getting so big, but I think like you were having a heat wave here in Scotland, which is unheard of. And actually, he's struggling because he's got a very thick coat. But he's only little, but he's just gorgeous. Don't let me hijack the talk because I'll go all night about the puppy.
No worries. So let's jump into it then, shall we? Because we have a few things that I want to talk about. So, first off, you've been doing websites with Buttered Host. You've been doing websites for 25 years. Who were you before Buttered Host, and what made you take the leap?
So before Buttered Host, I worked for a lot of commercial companies. I worked for other organizations. I worked for our local university for many, many years. I made a lot of safe choices. I was a single parent from when my daughter was 2 years old. So I made safe choices career-wise, and I climbed the ladder. And sometimes it was good, and sometimes it was, you have a job,
Yeah.
And then when she left home, things opened up, possibilities opened up, and then I had a life-changing moment, I guess, where a friend from university who was 38 at the time, she died of sepsis. Her and her newborn baby died of sepsis. And I was just like, what's life all about? What's it all about? What am I here for? What's this earth really about? And it was then I started to question, is the safe route the one that's really fulfilling me? Is it the one that is that what I'm put in this earth for? And increasingly the answer was no. But then I had all this technology background to bring forward. So that's where I came from. And I did some other things along the journey on the way to Buttered Host. Did some coaching, some work with charities. I worked with disability charities. I worked with I worked as a ski and snowboard instructor in various countries, North America and Europe and Scotland as well. So yeah, so I did quite a lot, and then
And that's so far from technology.
yeah. It was interesting because I think when my friend passed, and I got to the point where I was like, technology's got nothing to offer me in this world. I'm not going to touch a computer again. You can see how that worked out for me anyway. But so that was when I started doing more people-focused stuff, coaching. So just about everything I did, it was sports coaching, it was working with disability coaching, it was leadership transition coaching. It was like, so I realized, so I was doing a lot of working with people, and then Buttered Host was really the opportunity to bring the coaching and the technology back into focus. So yeah, it was a wild ride.
Yeah, that is a wild ride, and sounds really exciting too. So interesting. Like you're such. Sounds like you're such a people person. You love helping people. So what did it feel like when it was just you, without a company name behind you, and it was just you putting out your work and trying to to build that business?
That was actually really freeing. It was really freeing. I to not have to carry somebody else's baggage, but to actually mold something and build it to my values, sorry, not just I should clarify that my daughter and I started the company at the same time back in the day, and so we have very similar values, obviously, and we worked really hard on what the company should look like and what, and it was more about, like you say, people. It was more about, having worked with big companies, having worked with bigger organizations, the individual can get lost
Yeah.
in scenarios. So actually coming back to, when somebody walks away from me, how do I want them to feel about that interaction? And that for me was it was like the seed of our branding focus when we started going through that.
And that is so interesting. And I had forgotten that you actually started with your daughter, which is so unique and so cool. But you're working mostly on your own now. She's
Yes.
doing something
Yeah,
different.
she was only working with me because she worked for cruise lines, and of course they all shut down during
Oh,
COVID,
yes,
which
yes,
was
yes,
around
yes.
about when we started. And so she worked with me until they came back online, and then she abandoned me. But actually, it was fine by then.
Well, nice that you could work together for a while and that you enjoyed working with each other.
Yeah, I realized that for a lot of people, the whole COVID era was so hard, so difficult for many people, their businesses and whatnot. And I have to say that for us, well, for me particularly, it was actually some of the best years of my life. I invested in something that was giving me life. My business was just giving me joy and life. And to be doing that and sharing that with the most important person in my life was just amazing. So it was really, yeah, that period of time was very, very precious to me.
And that is so wonderful to hear, because you're right. I have interviewed a lot of people, and the majority of people said that was such a difficult time. But lovely to hear that that was a great opportunity for you.
Mm.
I'd love to ask you, was there a moment early on when you realized being good at the work wasn't enough to get found?
Mm. Yeah, I think and I guess a lot of us, even if you've worked in a job or a company or whatever, you'll realize this, and I've watched this, where
Yeah.
you're really good at your job, you know you're really good at your job, and yet there are people that are leapfrogging over you in this, and you're just like, what the heck? They're rubbish at their job, but they've got the gap, and
Yeah.
they know how to communicate. So when you translate that into business, you can be the best company at what you do, the absolute best. But if you don't know how to communicate and get the word out there, then you're going nowhere. You're going absolutely nowhere. And there are companies, and I've seen this so often actually. I've worked with companies who their direct competitors are worse technically than they are at what they do, but
Yeah.
actually are pulling streets ahead of them and are getting real traction online. And so that's that. But actually that's quite nice to work with somebody like that, because you can look and you can show them and say, look, you are brilliant at what you do, so why
Yeah.
is this person ahead of you? And then they kind of think, oh yeah, there's something that I'm missing here, what do we do about it? And that's when we can start to work together really well. So
Yeah. And that's where you really excel at helping people. Was it easy to do for yourself?
no, it was
Yeah.
really it was really, really hard to do for myself. And actually I had I had my uh, colleague who does branding work with me on that, and she was amazing at it and guided me through the process. Because I could have gone through it alone, but it's not. I actually don't think you can do it alone. I think you need somebody to. And I've heard also of people who have tried to use ChatGPT to do it and have
Yeah.
got nowhere, because at the end of the day there is something about somebody hearing the essence of what you're saying, not just hearing the words, but hearing the essence, the underlying values, the underlying meaning, the um, the, the things that make you you, that you've distilled into your business. Because if you start a business, your business is such a reflection of who you are as a person
Yes.
that you can't really separate them. And that for me is actually a struggle, because who I am and my current branding reflects me as a person completely. And ChatGPT doesn't like it, because it's not reflective of the clients that I would like to work with necessarily. So
Oh,
I find that really interesting. And so I'm, even now I'm still thinking, what I do with that, and I don't know yet. That's a
yeah.
work in progress for me. Come back to me in 5 years and see where we're at.
Well, just like we were laughing before, saying how no matter how much you know, everything evolves and you have to,
Mm,
be willing to change and iterate in your business, and always be learning,
yeah.
especially these days. And let's get into that a little bit. Um, when a website lists every credential, they're really
Mm,
good at what they're doing, as we were saying, and
mm.
still brings in nothing. Is that a technology problem, or do you think it's an identity problem?
I think, yeah, I think that's a people problem. I think it's a people problem. I
Mm.
think that what we do naturally is that, we have built up. I talk about myself as well, because we all do this. We've built up this wonderful experience. We have done our qualifications. We've got a badge for this, a certificate for that, and we've got all these things and we know how good we are, and we want to tell people, and we say, look, I've got the proof. I've got the proof. And actually, people are going, well, yeah, okay, but why does that
So
matter
what?
to me? Yeah, so what? The so what question is really important. It's much better to say, not just say, here are my credentials, but also to take that next step and say, well, I'm a qualified, say, business coach. Like, why does that matter? Well, it matters because when you come to me for a website, I'm not just going to say, what color do you like? Blam,
Yeah.
there you go. I'm going to say, what are your business goals? What are your life goals? What's your ideal client? I'm not, and you're going to be like, but I just want a website. But I'm going to dig right in there, and that's fine. And you're going to get a better website that reflects you and your business much more uh, deeply than if you just said, I want a website, I want a green website with 10 pictures and here they are, go.
Yeah.
And so I think that the explaining the context of your credentials is really, really crucial to let, so that people understand and can actually connect with you as a human being rather than you just be a list of stuff.
Yes, yes. It's that whole connection of people to people.
Yeah.
That's really where the business is happening, is between the people. Um, and before we get into the next technology part, I just want to say, if this information has been useful for you, I want to say, please hit subscribe, or follow or like. This helps me to know that this is the kind of information that you're looking for, and helps me to encourage me to continue bringing on guests just like this. So let's dig in a bit more, Gill, because I want to get into the whole AI conversation. Are websites still relevant in the age of AI, especially for solo experts trying to get known?
Yeah. So I think your website is still, and even more so, important in this type of age. So if you think about the tools that are out there, the AI tools that are out there are all rented. You've got your ChatGPT, your Claude, your Gemini, your whatever else you're using, and they belong to somebody else. A few people will have their own, have built their own, but they will be the exception. Most people are using these rented platforms. Your social media, it doesn't belong to
Yeah.
you. It belongs to, yeah. And how many of us have heard stories about social media? They've had a page, they were doing all their sales on it. Facebook shuts it down. Your
Yeah.
Instagram handle's lost. Whatever it is, it's not
Last
yours.
week, I was locked out of LinkedIn for who knows why, just for 24
Yeah,
hours. They said, come back at 7:30 at
yeah,
night. What?
yeah. It's you're at the mercy of somebody else. Your website is the only space, providing, depending how you build it, where it's completely yours and you have control and you can do what you like with it. Nobody can take that away from you if you build it in it. I say that, but if you build it in something like Wix or Squarespace or something like that, you're still part of that
Right.
process. But if you say, for example, have a WordPress website or something similar, then you can, take that anywhere. If you fall out with the person that's looking after it, you just say, right, I'm off. Pick your website up, go and find somebody you do like, plop down. You're in control. You can make it bigger, make it smaller, whatever. It's you. It reflects everything that you want it to reflect, and not the ad. People are not getting the adverts that Facebook puts up, or Instagram or TikTok is going to put up, or show it
Yeah.
to the people they think that it should be shown to. Search engines, okay, they do that, but you have control over the content you put in your website to help you reach the people that you want to reach. So I would say that, yeah, okay, it's my business. I kind of have to, but I really, really do believe it.
Yeah. And I am totally on board with, like, you've got to have something other than, planning with social media completely. But I want to go into, you said something really interesting, and that is about search and what you put on your website. I would
Mm,
love to chat to you about, clients are now asking ChatGPT and AI search things like, who should I hire? Where can I find the best so and so? So, how does an expert show up in those answers, and what role does the website play in that?
mm. So for a long time, blogs have been really important in that sphere, and a blog can of course look different. People think a blog is one of these things: you write a story, you put some pictures, and that's it. It's not necessarily so. You can have video, you can have short form, you can have long form, you can have almost like scientific paper type things. I mean, there is no limit to what kind of things you can put in. But that it's still a relevant place where you can show your expertise. You can do articles, and how you do those articles, well, there are certain structures and stuff like that. I mean, we don't really have time to go into them just now, but there, even in this age of AI, you can structure your website. You can use particular wording in your blog in each post that is going to be friendly for those AI answers. You know how they just pick one of those that
Oh,
you
yeah.
ask a question and it just comes up with this AI answer. Well, if your blog or article or whatever you want to call it has structured itself well in order to answer a question that somebody might ask, then yours could be the one that's pulled through, and then you get a link which helps your search engine visibility. So the more of that you do, the more. It's still about providing relevant content, and if you've got expertise, flaunt it, get it out there,
Yeah.
and be consistent,
Oh,
consistently.
that's a good one.
Oh, yeah,
Consistency.
yeah.
Yes, yes, yes.
And all the AI stuff, and I know we kind of come back to this later, but the AI stuff can help you with this, and can help you. Um, it feels like a lot. And every business owner I speak to, they kind of go, "Oh, do I have to?" Or they'll do 3 blogs and you never see them again. But
Yes.
actually,
And
if
really,
you
that's how I started, because it was like, oh, this is too much work.
yeah, exactly. And
Yeah.
if you put your effort into training an AI to do some stuff rather than just trying to slog through another article, then you can get there much faster. And that's not to say that it's okay to create AI slop. That's not
No.
okay. But
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
it's it's about helping, because every article you're writing, no matter how much you know about a subject, there will be facts you'll need to be doing, the check-in, there'll be research you'll need to dive in
Mhm.
deeper. There'll be things you'll need to check your competitors to see what they've said about it. You'll need to be able to frame it in such a way that it's actually answering the questions that people are asking. So you need to find out what they're actually asking and how they're asking it. And there are various places you can find out that. We were actually talking about that our networking earlier. So yeah, and there's lots of places, and I've done talks completely on that subject because there are so many places you can get help with that. So
Yeah. So important to know who your audience is. And
yeah.
and I just have to put this up too, because Bonnie was saying that what you said before sounded a lot like Simon Sinek about finding your why. Going back to when you were starting out, and how on earth do you get that on a website? So
Mm,
it's a great time to sort of think about this question for answering for Bonnie. How do you get you onto your website?
yeah.
And is that something that's going to help you be found?
Yeah, definitely. So I love Simon Sinek. He's brilliant, and the
Yeah,
Finding Your Why. That's a brilliant book. I think that business is always about people. People buy from people, and
yeah,
it comes back to what we were talking about earlier. How do you make people feel when if somebody comes to me and they're technologically not very confident, when they go away, have I made them feel stupid and worse about that? Or have I made them feel better and empowered with that? So if you can get that essence into your website, that's going to help immensely. They also people are often, business owners are terrible about getting themselves on their website. They're like, oh, well, it's not about me, it's about what I do or my products or whatever. But people buy from people, and get your photos on there, get videos on there, get, get really personable stuff on there that's actually going to show who you are as a person and why you're the person that somebody wants to work with. When they land on your website, you want them to think, I found my tribe. This is it. This is
Yeah.
home to me. So how do you get that on the website? I would say that work with somebody else that can dig into this with you, because it's really hard to do on your own. I have to say, like we were saying earlier, I couldn't do it on my own, and this is stuff I do for a living. So work with somebody who knows what they're doing, that'll help you, and go back to first principles about your business. Why did you start it? What was it that motivates you? And sometimes we can just think, well, I just needed to make money, but it's not. So that's what I thought in the beginning. But actually,
Yeah.
if I really wanted to make money, I would go back into corporate, because I could make a heck of a lot more in corporate, let me tell you.
Without the hassle.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's not that drives us. So it's about it's about deep work for ourselves. It's about really looking into our own motivations, our own values, and
Yeah.
what makes us tick. And if you can find that and then bring that into, what do you feel like? So my website, if you look at it, you'll see there's a lot of analogies for journey, for hiking, for adventure, because for me that's what it is. It's about a journey, it's about an adventure. That's what my business is for me. I love it, and that's why it is. So I've got things in my branding that represent that, but are still relevant to, you think, what's a tent got to do with website development? But it is, because that's part of me. So yeah, Bunny, that, like, really do it. Find somebody to sit and work through this stuff with, and you will not regret it.
Oh, I so agree. Well, of course I do, because I
Well,
have
yeah.
to do this too. But one of the things that I think really changed for me when I was doing this and going from a corporate mindset to having a business of my own was, at first I didn't want to share anything personal because I thought that was unprofessional. But actually, in the end, when I relaxed and loosened up and shared why I was doing things and the reason that I have a business, because it was to be with my family and not be missing everybody and living in chaos all the time. When I started sharing those stories, then you're right, though I started to attract like-minded people. And who doesn't want to work with people that are, have similar thoughts and values? But if you don't share that, if in any way, and it doesn't mean you have to share your whole life story. There's lots of people like that, and that's called entertainment. But yeah, like, people like to know more about the people that they're working with.
Just thinking about Simon Sinek as an example, I've seen quite a lot of talks from him where he shares some really interesting stories about his life, about his friendships, about his relationships, which are really deep and personal, but they're always relevant, to what he does and who he is.
Yeah. And it's funny too, because as we talked about, how we change, we iterate, we evolve, our business changes with us. And, one of the reasons that I got into having a business for myself was because I wanted to be able to be with my kids more and be present and part of their life. I realized I'd been missing so much. Well, as they've gotten older and they're doing their own thing, I thought, okay, so things will probably change in my business. What is the reason that I'm here? But what's really interesting is now I find that I have parents that need me more. And so my business is doing something similar, only for the other side of the generation. So I'm like part of that generation or sandwich generation, and it's still doing what I need. It's helping me have the flexibility that I want. So yes, I share that with people,
Yeah.
and attract similar types of people, or people, you know, I don't attract what I call bro marketing people.
Yeah, I hear you.
Yeah.
I think
um,
that's really interesting because actually, in terms of entrepreneurialism and business, women in general, and this is a very sweeping statement, and not everybody's the same, but in general, women do operate in a different way to men, and actually they bring a different energy and a different vibe into the way they do business. And
yeah.
I think I'm so encouraged by how many women are now starting up their business, because it's changing the landscape of business, which is
Yeah.
wonderful. So I think we need more of that.
Oh, I totally agree. And I guess to explain a little bit about, what I meant between bro and what I am, I would say that, and when you said women doing more business, it's more nurturing rather
Mm,
than, that hardcore buy this,
yeah,
sales mentality. Um, Supporting each other, building each other up.
yeah,
And not that there aren't men like that, there are, but
it's
you
true.
know what I mean. There's
Yeah,
a tone. There's a
yeah,
tone. And
there is
that
a tone.
tone can come through on your website and through your content.
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about that. Everyone's using AI now to write their content and build their sites. So how do you use it without sounding like every other expert in your space, and not sounding like the type of business you don't want to be?
I think so. AI is a tool, and I think you have to really remember that. Sometimes I forget it when I'm asking
Yeah,
it puppy questions, but it is a tool, and it only knows what it's learned from what it's been exposed to. So you have to think about you. You still have to pull from your own resources, from your inner being that comes. The other thing is that when you start working, if you work constantly with say ChatGPT, because that's probably the one that most people
right.
will use, it does nowadays, it's much better at getting to know you. So it will, if you've set it up this way, it will remember across conversations. So it does start to build a picture of you in comparison to somebody else. So if you've been using your AI tool for a long time, and you've been giving it lots of information about you, about your website, about your values, then it will start to learn those. If you haven't done that, then I would strongly advise that you go through an exercise where you sit down. This is a great exercise. And if you haven't done this in your business already, ever, you really need to sit down and write down your values, write down your goals, write down your long-term aims, uh, write down things about how you like to work. Do you like to get up early? Do you like to get up late? About the way that your brain works. Are you a person who is visually stimulated, or do you like to read or listen to audiobooks? Tell it all this stuff in connection with your business. Give it as much information as you can. Another tool that I use quite often is NotebookLM. I don't know if you've heard of
Love,
that.
love, love.
Yes, yeah. Love, love, love. It's brilliant because you can just keep adding resources. So you can add a website, you can add a PDF, you can add a Word doc, you can just keep giving it more and more and more information, and then start to use that as the basis of what you're starting to write. Then break down the task into sections. Don't give it too much. Don't say, plan my social media for the next year. here's
Right.
my website. It's that
That's such
you're
a good
just going
tip.
to get, yeah,
Yeah.
you're not going to get a good outcome from that. So maybe start off, maybe say like, pick a week, for example, and say, you know, I like, give me a list of 30 possible, knowing me and knowing the way I operate, give me a list of 30 possible topics that I could write about or talk about if you're doing videos or whatever it is. And
Right.
start working at that and look at what it gives you. Then iterate, go back in and say, that was almost good, but I think it needs something else, and work with it. It's like it's an opportunity to mold and shape. It's not going to give you the finished article.
Right.
You've got to iterate, keep going back and back. And the more you do that, not only will that make that particular thing better, but you're teaching it more and more and
Yes.
about who you are and how you operate and how you like to write. And because you can say, we've had a tool at one point and you could like get your tone of voice, get your ideal client, and we mushed it all together, and we produced some posts, and it worked reasonably well, but it wasn't perfect because I think the what was missing from that was the iteration. It needed to go back in over and over again to get it even better. And I think nowadays chats do that very well. So
So it's gotten better and better.
yeah.
Yeah.
And there are tools that connect with the chats. So you don't, it used to be that you would go and get a tool like Buffer or something like that that would do all your posting and you would do everything in there. But now these kind of tools connect in with the chat models. So
Yeah.
you can build up this personality, if you like, with your AI, and then connect that out so that when you start hitting the sweet spot, and you have to read what it's producing. Don't just say, oh, that looks okay, chuck it. Read it, correct it, tell it why you hate what it's done.
Yeah.
Don't get disheartened, because sometimes in the beginning you think, that doesn't sound like me, that's nothing like
Yeah.
me.
Yeah.
So you have to, it's not a shortcut in the beginning. It does take work, but
Yeah.
ultimately, it's a bit like training up a junior in your business. When they first
Oh,
come,
exactly.
yeah,
Yes.
they're clueless, they have no idea, and you have to keep sending their stuff back.
Yes. Somebody said to me, a great prompt to use, and I just heard it recently, is ask your AI model that you use to interview you like as if they were a new VA starting out for you.
Oh, that's good. That's clever.
So
I like it.
even just to start training it on the way you
Mhm.
think and what you do, as if you were bringing them on to start a new job, that's a great way
Mhm.
to start. But you're right, like it's not going to automatically know you, and sometimes it takes a bit of time, and you have to not get frustrated. Now, um, and what I like is using sometimes combinations of AI. Do you have some
Mm.
favorite ones that you like to use besides Notebook? I mean, because Notebook's very different than some of the other ones. Notebook,
Yeah,
you put in the information that you want it
yeah.
to know,
It's kind
and
of, you can silo yourself in there, can you? Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, which
yeah,
is good if you need to, if you're doing something deep. But um yeah, so my tool of choice at the moment is Claude. So
yeah,
I use Claude um because it's got Claude Coworker, which is really useful because it can do lots of things, and it can actually do some tasks on your desktop and things like that, which is really fun. And it's got a Claude Design, which is a new thing that's just come in. I don't know if you've used that at all
I haven't
yourself.
used it yet. Do
No,
tell me, do you like it?
I love it. I'm very impressed with it. I used it. I made a design for a client, and they wanted slightly different, and I thought, oh, I'll have to spend ages changing that. and I just uploaded the design and said, and then typed in the prompt, the client wants this changed, and it came back with all these options, and it's got some toggles, so you could toggle accent colors and things like that. And I was like, oh yes, oh yes.
Oh, I had no idea. So I'm going to have to jump in and try and play with that now.
Jump
it's
right
just like
in
there's so many things, and as I was
Yeah.
saying, I was like, you know, building apps because why not?
Yeah. And Claude Code, of course, yeah, because that's where you're. So I use Claude Code. I use mostly for workflow. So we do a lot of automation stuff. So workflow automations. I use NAN, which is a tool that although that will probably become obsolete because Claude is getting better at that sort of automation stuff. So I've raved about Claude. I have to say that I use Google Workspace, and there's Google Studio. I don't know if you've used that.
Yes.
So to do some automation. So what I've got mine doing, just as an example to give people an idea, is that when an email comes in, my Google Studio will read the email, will decide if there's any actions in it, and will pull those actions out and set up a task for me in my Google Tasks so that nothing gets missed. So that's been really useful, and there's various other little bits. I don't use Google Gemini much unless I've done a search and I'm asking follow-up questions. Then sometimes I'll go down the Gemini route.
Yeah.
ChatGPT, I still use the free version. I gave up my paid version I took the huff when they yeah. Anyway, I won't.
Yeah. But anyway, a lot of people did.
Yeah. Anyway, so but I do still use it for probably more light-hearted stuff. Today somebody posted a prompt which was absolutely fascinating. It said, "Ask ChatGPT, knowing what it knows about you." What was the question? I can't remember. It was something around, tell me what you would find surprising about me, or something like that. And it just, go and do this, because it was really fun.
Yeah.
I sent it to my daughter, and she did it as well. And she's like, and she sent me hers, and I was like, that's so accurate.
You know too much.
I know, yeah. So, but that is interesting because that shows how far it's come, and even the free version, how much it retains of you. Now, if you're a privacy concerned person, then you might not like that. So but there are things you can switch off to stop that. But of course, you lose some of the usefulness of it.
Yeah. You do have to sort of give and take a little bit, and that's why sometimes it's good to go into Notebook. And with Notebook, it's only taking information that you decide to give it. So that's an alternative. But I have to ask, have you used something like Perplexity or anything like that? I found that one a very interesting one and helpful for research.
Yeah. So there's also, I don't know if you've heard of this. There's a search thing that was created called Storm. It was created by, I think it's Harvard. Have you used it? It's Stanford. That's it. So that's amazing. So if you want to do deep research, Storm is fantastic, and that you can take what it outputs, and then you can distill it back into Perplexity, and then you can take it into the chat. So you've got some really good, solid stuff. Perplexity had or they still do have their own browser called Comet, which I used for a bit. I still do use it occasionally. Because it had Perplexity built in, and it was definitely at the time streets ahead of the other browsers in terms of when it gave AI citations, you knew they were accurate. So whereas Google has not always been so
it
accurate.
does do a little bit of hallucinating every once in a while, unless you specifically ask it to tell it where it's got the information from. But yes, Perplexity, that's what if you're looking for places that Like it pulls from specific things and will tell you where it got
Yeah.
the information. Great for doing, research and proposals and where you need to have the truth.
Yes. Yes. Well, yeah, and truth is such a hard thing to find these days. Some of us might find.
So I have to ask you, can you make money from your website? And where does AI genuinely help with that versus where is it just hype?
Yeah. So I think the idea that, and I got caught up in this because the use of AI, I love the idea that a one-person company can produce a billionaire or even a trillionaire. And that has happened. Young lads have developed on the bus or whatever apps and then become billionaires because they've developed it and sold it or whatever. So it can happen. But I would say that's not the norm. I would say that for most of us, try and think about AI is like it can speed things up, it can help things along, but it's like any other technology. It's based on process. So if you have got a really poor process, it's going to make that process really fast. So you'll get more bad stuff really fast. So that's brilliant. But if your processes are really good, then it's going to really help you in your business. So I think that there's nothing really new in business. You have to keep coming back to those fundamentals and your processes. There is nothing that repeatable processes. There's a book. Oh gosh, I can't remember the name of it. It's not the. I can't remember. Anyway, there's this book and it basically says, think of your business like a McDonald's, like you're going to franchise your business. So break everything you do in your business up into little tasks and
repeatable.
Yes, exactly. And that book was written so that like a junior person just out of school or college could come along and do those basic tasks, or you could have somebody overseas or whatever.
Oh, is that the E-Myth?
Yes, that's it. That's it. Yes. That's it.
Yes, I remember that. I haven't looked at that in a while, but you're right. That's an excellent book and great fundamentals.
Yeah. But actually with AI, if you do that, instead of having a person do the things, you can start, if you break them down enough, small enough chunks, you can start building AI automations into your everyday life. And every single little one you do takes another 5-10 minutes out your day, then another 5-10 minutes. And then, all of a sudden you're like, oh, I've got quite a lot of time now. And that, I think that's where the real strength for small businesses with AI and also tying it in with automations and being able to get jobs done quickly and more efficiently is important. But you've got to set them up correctly and have those processes in place. And I think that, to come back to your other point about can you make money from your website? Yes, it's not as easy as it used to be for many, many reasons, but you can still make money with websites directly, whether that's e-commerce or whatever, but it's actually much harder to do than it was because for many reasons, but advertising is much more expensive. It depends how you do it. If you can still use tools like if you are willing to put yourself out there and do TikTok videos or things like that, and then direct people to your website, you can do really well with stuff like that. But if you're talking about running Google ads to sell products, that's a lot harder than it used to be. It's a lot more expensive than it used to be. Ads used to be much, much cheaper back in the COVID era when people were just starting out with, oh, our shops have closed down, get it online. It was much easier to make a really decent amount from that, but it's harder. It's possible, but you've got to invest you've got to have a decent amount up front, and most business owners aren't capital rich in the beginning, so it's not always easy, but there are still ways and means, and if you couple it with the AI, it's possible.
Yeah. Interesting. Yeah. It's not just, nothing really works in a silo in your business.
Mm.
There's tools that you need to run a business. One of them is a website, and that's where you whether you're networking, whether you're on social media, whether you're out there with your bullhorn on the street, driving people to your address. It's like inviting people to your home kind of thing, so they can find out more. But, I always think none of that stuff works alone. They sort of all interconnect, and that's what makes things, a more robust business.
Yeah,
And,
definitely.
and AI is helping.
And the thing is that even if you have an online business, or a lot of your businesses, like, my business is mostly online, but I get most of my clients from networking and meeting people in person. So, and
Yeah.
actually, there is power in face-to-face meetings, and in doing the unexpected. So if you, even if you have a lot of digital stuff in your business, sending a physical gift to somebody can be,
Yes.
very powerful, actually. And
Even a card, a
yeah,
physical
yeah,
card. Yeah.
yeah. A lot of things. I mean, we have sent out in the past, like, Christmas stockings, and what happens is people are so surprised. They take photos of themselves with their branded stuff, and like, go,
Post
guess
it.
what I got? And I'm like, yeah, free advertising, thank you.
Yes. Yes. I
But
know.
it's
It's
cool. Yeah,
wonderful.
it's
Yeah.
fun. I love that. I love that.
Yeah. Oh, and I love that we're talking about everything, there's more than one thing that makes a business. And I think,
Mm.
it's building your brand, it's doing the marketing, and marketing is more than one thing. It's not just about, putting up your website and waiting. Yes, you're right. We used to be able to drive people there with Google Ads, but that's becoming more and more expensive. And but there's all kinds of ways to get people to notice you, to get seen, heard, and remembered. And so I've really enjoyed this conversation, Jill, and I could go
Me
on and
too.
on. And I appreciate you staying on with me. So let me know, where can people find you, Jill?
Well, you can connect with me on LinkedIn, and I don't actually give you the link to that, but just look for Gill Wilson on LinkedIn, or you can go to the website and send me a message, or jill@buttertoast.com. You can send me an email. And if any of you out there are thinking some of those things have been quite interesting, I'd love to just pick her brains a little bit more. Obviously, I love talking to people, as you can tell. So let's have a one-to-one and let's chat.
Oh, that's great. So definitely it's find Jill's website, butteredhost.com, and Gill Wilson on LinkedIn. Connect with her. She's got such a great amount of information for business owners. And if you're looking to talk AI, and I'm so appreciative of you sharing your wealth of knowledge today. So thank you so much. So if today hit home, and if you're an expert that nobody knows about yet, first, subscribe to this channel, because we do this interview every single week. And second, my newsletter, The Scene, goes even deeper on becoming visible as an expert that you already are. And I will make sure that the link is in the description. So thank you so much for being here. Thank you, Jill. I'll see everybody else next week. Thank you. Take care, everyone. Bye for now.